Okay, so I really appreciated what you had to share. And so what I'm hearing from you is that today what you'd like to do is talk about what you are passionate about concerning, moving forward in your calling.
Yeah.
And one thing I heard you really talk about in detail was about your music. Is that correct?
Yeah, music's my main thing.
Okay, great. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it would mean for you to move forward with that. Can you explain for me a clear step you would take towards moving forward in your musical gifting?
Just bunkering down for, maybe a certain amount of time, or maybe just a set time per day, and writing something that's on my mind. Something that I feel like God's shown me, and just having a set time to be alone, to be like meditative, and just write, write things down, play the chords,
That's great. So what I'm hearing from you is that that the next step for you to be able to move forward in this gifting is that you create some small, incremental, concrete goals. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here's another question for you related to moving forward. And that is, what is it that prompted you to come here to help make that happen?
Again, just that it can be kind of difficult, even with the example of, okay, I'm going to set apart a time to write. That doesn't always work on its own, because you can't just decide to be inspired. You can't just decide that you have something important to say, and if you're gonna, songs are a few minutes long, you kind of have to, everything about a song has to be pretty well compressed, and there's not a lot of room for fluff. So, just maybe those are maybe the micro goals within the larger goal of writing a song, or the larger goal of just writing music in general, and doing music as a ministry, and just walking that out. Being an active musician is, maybe the things I would do even that lead to that time of just enjoying playing music, just enjoying playing my own music and playing my guitar, before God, and just listening to what He might want to say through me. But maybe there are things to prepare for that time even as well. Like, it's kind of one of those things that probably is not just one time per day or one time per week, but it's also what leads up to that moment, that I come to that moment prepared.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you have a really multifaceted situation, and I get the impression that you are probably aware of some of the major blocks that you're having for why you can't sit down and write your music. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it before. It wouldn't be certainly. I'm not about to sit down for the first time and try writing, so I'm very analytical, and so when I've failed at it, I have to think about why that is and what I could do differently. Maybe a little bit of self-coaching, but there's just nothing like, being told, oh, well, there's this one thing you're not looking at yet. So, just looking for any insight into a creative, definitely it being a creative outlet itself, music, the way you go about the reason why I think there's no person who's said, here's how you go about being a musician, is because it's personalized, it's creative to each person, how they get there. So you kind of have to think outside the box and do
Right.
whatever it is that you need to get to that comfort level, to get to that release of what,
Right.
what's already in there,
Wow.
waiting to be written.
Okay, yeah. It's, I definitely hear what you're saying, and what's really interesting too is that you're kind of talking about the abstract qualities that it takes to actually do the songwriting, and then I'm talking to you about somewhat the more pointed or streamlined reasons for figuring out what is kind of stopping you from being able to do that.
Right.
So, when you come to me, what my job is to do is to take a set of tools that already exist, and they're static.
Right.
But the amazing thing is that somewhere in those tools, there is the answer.
Yeah.
So
I like practical steps, even though it's almost mysterious how a songwriter writes a song. It just comes to them. How to get there is still something where you can just take certain practical steps, and I have ideas, but also open to hearing something that I wouldn't have thought of. So.
Right, so it's really exciting. So to keep it moving forward, one thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to try an exercise with you where we just basically list out the different spheres of your life, or different compartments of your life.
Okay.
And through going over those things, maybe it'll take more time for you than just the session that we have allotted here. But it could be homework for you. Come back and think about it. And that's okay if that's what you need to do.
Sure.
But so what we do for this exercise is we list out the major parts of your life that make you who you are. Each person has their own, but we will just basically skim through them, and you can tell me which one makes you stop and say, oh, you know what, I don't have an issue with this isn't stopping me from writing. And maybe I mention a different area of your life, and you say, you know what, that is definitely an issue for me. Okay. Are you okay with that? All right.
Sure.
Great. Okay. So let's see. There are seven different areas that are just points that you can focus on. Okay. So here's the first one. It's faith, and that's having to do with your allegiance to Jesus, meaning, as an older Christian, somebody who's had faith for a long time, we've oftentimes sorted out a lot of big question marks, but sometimes littler ones may remain. It really depends, because everyone's walk is different. So let's just talk about your faith and how that might be either helping or at this point in your walk maybe inhibiting this goal that you have to write music. Maybe it's a point where you're having to take a stop and you don't know why. Does that mean anything for you? Is there something about your faith walk where you think, yeah, you know what, it's great, and it's probably not part of why I'm not able to move forward? Or is there something,
the only thing about my faith walk that comes to mind with this is, and it's a pretty significant thing, is just that I need something fresh, from God. So I can't just rely on the fact that I've been a believer all these years and, like you said, answered some of the bigger questions, but just having a steady, regular time of prayer, time of devotion, reading the Word, meditating, that would really directly tie in, I think, with feeling more comfortable and confident that what I'm writing is not just my own idea or just something that sounds good to me, but that it would be true to the calling, that that I would make God proud with what I write down, and not just kind of be stirring some random ideas that I came up with in that hour that I gave myself.
Wow, that was really great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle the ones that you want to think about when you go home. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to circle faith. It's a good thing. Okay, so that's a point where you want to think.
Right. You said there were 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Those 7 things are faith, family, friends. They're all F words.
Okay.
Finances, fitness, your future. Okay.
That's 7, right?
God's plan for you. Let me see. Let's count
Oh,
this
and there's
up.
one more.
I'm like, what have I said? What have I not said? And then the last one is fun, and that's just another word to make it easier to remember. Talking about emotional balance. Okay, so we've talked about faith. All right, we know that we want to focus on that some. Okay, now the next one is family. Family meaning your home life and your relationships with those who are closest to you. Is there anything there where there's a block? It's something that's preventing you from moving forward in your writing? Approval, disapproval, time spent.
Your time management is tough at the age of 35.
Yeah.
Growing family, young kids, but I don't have any fear associated with that. It's just a matter of just making a decision, really, and saying this time is going to be, I know I'll have their support.
Okay, that's great. Okay, what about friends? Do you have friends that are helping or hurting?
I keep thinking of what could potentially be a bad thing. I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely plenty of good when it comes to friends. A lot of people who believe in me and think I should be doing this, and
That's cool.
have kind of kept me from just writing it off and just doing status quo. But on the flip side, I have in me, I think, sometimes a fear of failing them in a way. Like now that they do expect great things, it's like I start thinking about, well, if I start to write something, will they also agree with me that this is really...
Wow, yeah, that's a really great, open, honest question to have. Okay.
So for me, I just have had to maybe block... I think I need to kind of block that thought out. Or not block it out, but I think I need to just say, okay, God, this is what you have for me, and just have a little bit more of a confidence in just Him, and not maybe test market on my friends or something as if
wow, that's so good. Yeah.
I need to let that go. It's just the only challenge I think of with friends is whether or not I get the reaction from them that I think I should be getting. That's not my way of litmus testing what God is doing in my life.
Wow, that was really good. I'm circling friends. This is all really positive stuff, by the way, because, since we're both Christians, we both know God, and we can acknowledge the fact that every time you can pinpoint something that needs your attention, you can also believe by faith that that's just the next step God's giving you to work towards your solution. So this is all really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Finances. Is that helping or hurting in any way you can think of?
I mean, I have to have a regular job, writing songs doesn't...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that kind of plays into time management as well, but
Sure.
I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in charge of my own schedule. I mean, that's not a finances thing, but what I do to...
I hear you.
What my job, which is my means of finances, allows me to
Right. What we want to pinpoint
change my
here.
schedule however I see fit, so that
Okay.
and then I don't have like a I don't
Okay.
I don't see a
All
I mean,
right.
you
I
may
don't
have
either.
a
It's
question,
okay.
but I don't see any financial turmoil that would
Great.
prevent me from writing a song.
I hear you. All right. And then we've only got a couple more. So fitness. I want to hear what you have to say.
It's just another goal, so I mean, it's almost a separate thing we could talk about, but I have made some progress this year with losing some weight and, maybe offsetting some fat for muscle, and then just had a little bit of a time period here where things have slowed down again, so I just don't want to lose that edge and maybe there's a little bit of competition for, can I, have both of those goals? It seems a little bit big to tackle two different things that, can I be in the best fitness that I've ever been in my life, and also, finally really tackle one of the callings I have in my life since a young age. So.
Yeah, great. Okay, so fitness isn't really an issue. It sounds like you've developed some confidence there, and confidence always helps.
Yeah, it's
but
just
no
another
real
thing
issue.
that I want to tackle at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Future. That's relating to your understanding of God's plan for you. Do you feel in any way that your songwriting is in conflict or not in alignment with what you understand to be God's plan for you?
No, I mean, I've faced that thought or fear so many times, thinking, okay, here I'm going to finally find out that this isn't for you. That God would just kind of let me go softly and say, hey, David, it's nice that you enjoy this, but it's not really. I'm always ready to hear that, but it's always, I more so try to pull away from it myself, and it's God, and through people around me, and just through confirming different things that this is what you need to do.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds good. So I think we can move on from there. It sounds like you have a confidence in that. And then the last one was fun.
Right, fun.
Which is really just covering your emotional balance. Everyone has this sort of space carved out in their life that they need to have a healthy mental, emotional state. And that's just our part of being responsible and stewarding ourselves. So do you feel that this goal for writing music, is it throwing your emotional zone into upheaval? Are you healthy in that emotional place while you're seeking to develop your musical skills, writing skills?
Yeah, actually, I think it will resolve certain but I mean, I think that's the kind of thing about songwriting, or just any kind of creative types. There's a lot of stereotypes around there where it's like it eats at you to not write something, but it also eats at you to write something, because I could make this. It always sounds really fun to talk about writing something, and then when you get to that moment where you're supposed to produce something, and it's not happening, nothing's coming out, or it's not coming out the way you want it to. It's just a very trying experience, but it is what I've read, that everyone goes through that, so you just have to accept it. So it will turn a little bit of emotions.
Okay, so you've already decided you were okay with the roller coaster that it sends you on.
Yeah,
you're good with that. We don't even need to think about it. It's not an obstacle to your
I mean, the psalmist being an example of writing songs in the Bible, you've seen him go up and down through his psalms, so it's just part of.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's part of what you do.
All right, great. Well, that does leave me with giving you a little bit of homework there before we move on to the next step, which is good, like we talked about.
Yeah.
It's positive. So you're going to want to focus on your faith, just, pressing into the Lord, family, maybe just thinking over how to turn any negative aspects of your family responsibilities, just considering possibilities to turn the negatives into positives, and then the friends aspect also, which you had some really great points about that. Okay.
Right.
Moving on. So, I think we're kind of talking about options when I'm telling you, you have a little bit of homework to do.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be able to unravel the years of, all the different aspects that we talked about in one session.
Right.
But we are highlighting them, so now they're kind of on the front burner for you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next, what we want to do is, you're going to be kind of thinking about different options, regarding those different topics. And I think the next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to talk about this music writing goal. And I think this is a good time for us to actually make that goal super specific, because once we can pinpoint, a goal, make it really simple and to the point,
Right.
then it's easier to tackle. Okay? Is that all right with you?
Yeah, would be good.
That would be good. That's why you came here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. All right?
Okay.
Can you state your goal to write music as specific as possible? What is the first goal that you would take, the first step?
I'd like to write one song in 1 month.
Wow. That was really good.
Yeah, I think that you have to do that to yourself, right? Or otherwise you can just keep.
I'm writing your homework.
Okay.
Okay. So your goal is one song in 1 month. That's fantastic. That's measurable there. That's fantastic. Okay. So because, you came here having had a struggle to do something like this before, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever done this?
I haven't written a song last month. Or the month before, or the month before.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, you answered that question the way I was hoping.
Yeah, it's not. If I was already doing that, I wouldn't be here.
Okay, great. So how do you feel? Do you feel confident that you can reasonably reach this goal?
I think it's going to be difficult, but I think I can do it. I know I can do it. It's just not going to happen unless I really put in the time. You
Okay.
circled a couple of things that I gotta address.
Yeah. Okay, here's a bit of a redundant question maybe, but it's worth asking. It's just highlighting what we already talked about. How relevant is this particular goal to your overall goal of writing in general?
Well, a lot of times with writing, it's momentum, so it's perfectly relevant, because if I can meet that goal, might be 2 songs in the next month.
Perfect.
Hopefully you exceed your goals when it comes to something like this, because again, it's supposed to be off of momentum.
Okay, then the next thing I have to ask for you is to make your success measurable in every little step you take. Okay, so we want this to be successful, so we're going to make it time specific. So you've already done that.
Yeah, the 1
by
month,
saying,
right?
To do one song in 1 month. Let's get even more specific and say, now not everyone operates this way. So maybe you're gonna tell me, oh, that doesn't really work for me. But can you let's take out our invisible calendar.
Okay.
Can you put some points on the calendar to say exactly what days you're gonna do that? Can we do that?
Pending, working this out with the family was a time management thing, but I would say Saturdays is always a good day, particularly Saturday mornings, bunker down for a couple hours.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do, because we want to do something that's actually realistic for you. That's your homework. By the time we talk again, you need to be able to plot out on the calendar. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking once a week would help me reach
plot
that goal
out
of one song in 1 month.
The day and time each week.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be
Each week.
a weekly thing.
Great. And that sounds realistic to you, yes? Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know about you, but this all looks good to me. Okay. So, all that being said, are you okay with us summarizing what we've been over today?
Yeah, let's do it.
Fantastic. All right. Can you tell me what you feel you accomplished in our time together today?
Putting together a practical plan to do something that's what I feel is like very impractical helps me know that there's you know, going to be, I don't want to say a chance, but there's going to be the opportunity for me to get this going, and maybe identifying a little bit of, all right, there's going to be some difficulty, but I know where that difficulty comes from, and I can kind of take that head on.
That's great. Okay. What would you say were highlights from our session, or just name one highlight from our session?
You know, breaking down those 7 different areas of what might influence my goal, and just there's something about, even when you already know something, like there's a lot of things I think I was aware of, but I didn't say them out loud until now. So when you say them out loud, you hear yourself say them, it kind of activates a little bit of something. For me, some of it renews things that I maybe was trying to walk out before and just kind of left it alone, and time got away from me. So just having you, again, that was the whole purpose that you said that you have, right? Is not to try to redirect me to something different, but just to kind of point me back to myself and my relationship with God ultimately.
What's he saying?
And so, I was able to kind of get that mirror again and say, oh yeah, this is who I am, and this is how this, you know, is supposed to be, and this, you know, this is what I've heard from God, and these are the challenges. So just hearing myself talk about that is refreshing.
That's great.
Yeah, it kind of clears things up.
Yeah, so I've got 2 more questions for you. Okay, this next question should set us up for even better session next time. But how can I, as your coach, better help you to meet your needs for reaching your goals? Could I have done anything different this session?
Do something different, but you know, just really keeping track of the little things that play out in the larger thing when it comes to my specific goal of writing music, because it is, I think, the most difficult part of it is trying to say, okay, what little thing here is keeping you, because it's one of those things you can shake your head and say it's such an easy thing to do, and yet it's so hard for people to actually just finish, especially for me. It's like I start songs but I don't finish them, so just to I guess not be, you know, afraid to criticize or help me think critically about it, you know, not to beat myself up, but just to say, okay, you know, but you didn't, you know, to kind of target those things so I can maybe find where the difficulty may be. So
1 more question.
Sure.
Okay. When you think about yourself having written all the songs that are stored up in your heart, when you think about yourself finally in that place, how do you feel about it?
I feel excited. I think, you know, I would just be just dying to get out there and show as many people as I can, and just feel proud of, you know, almost in a humble way, like, it's amazing, some of the stuff that I have worked on before. I've been able to listen to it with fresh ears and say, that's me, like, that's not me, but it is, you know, and so I know it's coming from a source outside myself, and I actually like what I'm hearing and like what God's doing through me. So it is exciting to get that place, because that's what's kept bringing me back, is that I just know, you know, it's not about being famous or thinking I'm the best of, you know, like a lot of musicians get in the secular world caught up in, but just the communication that music is. It's a language. I would be very excited to just to be able to actually present that to people, because right now it's like I have that, but I can't actually show anybody anything. If I say, oh yeah, I write music, I have nothing.
Right.
Go to this, download, or you know, here's a CD or anything like that. And who knows what it could lead to. You know, I think I've learned to not really think too much down that road expectation wise, but just to be excited, because it would just be enough to know that I did what I was supposed to do, and then
wow, yeah, that's...
God has a way of surprising you with what that leads to next. So leave that to Him.
All right, I really, really appreciate you sharing with me today and allowing
Yeah,
me
thanks
to be with you on this ride. And I believe that you can do it. I just want to encourage you to keep on believing you can do it because all things are possible with God. And here's your homework.
All right.
And I'll be seeing you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Bye.